to identify where it's coming from. I'd make a candle out of it if I ever found it. Try to sell it, never sell out of it. I probably only sell one. Maybe to my brother, cause we have the same nose, same clothes, homegrown, a stone's throw from a creek we used to roam. But it would remind us of when nothing really mattered. Out of student loans and treehouse homes, we all would take the ladder. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think.
All right. I don't know how that's different, but let's see. Hello? I don't know how that's different, but let's see. Okay. All right. We're going to get our early stream in. All right. Probably chalk this up closer to 8. Still got the candy corn. All right. But, woo! Good gym day. Alright. Good gym day. Went and talked to a realtor. If you know, you know. That sun's hitting on me like nice. Like nice. I think in the new apartment, I'm not going to have it right here. I'm blind as shit, bro. Alright. Let's get this. Let's just hop right into it. Let's no games today. RuneScape stream. Let's get it. Talk to me in the chat. Let's just get right into it. See what we got going on. Well, I don't like to zoom in. All right. So I think we just did we just level up? I think we did. All right. So we have to get 53 for Desert Treasure. Interact with this dang cat. Level up, cat. 31 minutes. Cake. Let's go ahead and feed this mug. Interact. Stroke. Yep. Use. Bang. Bang, bang. Hello! What's up, Lionel? I'm just going to stay here. How many laps? We have to do a lap first. Because once we get to 35, we can go get the hood. Which will be fun. Now. We turn off your music? Yeah, we did. Hey, Mom. Hey, Lionel. Mom. You guys are going to be proud of me. Put what in the chat if you want to know what I'm going to tell you. Because I tried to call you earlier, Mom. Why does it say that one first? So confusing. So, Mom, where's my, oh, it's over there. I went to a realtor today. And I talked to them. And they got me in touch with a mortgage person to check what kind of plans I can get into. And I was an open book about it. You know, I want to do rentals. That's what I want to get into. Obviously, they can help me with the property management. But why did I fall? They're gonna help me with the property management. So we'll see. We'll see what the time frame is. Market, it's 8/8. Okay. Let's see if we get a house by the end of the year. So yes, Mom, everybody, you know, all my rumors were wrong. That you have to live in the house. Now, my conception, my thoughts were right. That if you make it your primary residence first, you pay less in taxes. Okay? Now, hear me out. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to live my life trying to avoid paying taxes. Right? So, if we're talking like, maybe obviously right now paying taxes might be all right, man, this kind of sucks to pay taxes at this time because I don't make a lot of money. But like, quality of life is what I'm going by. Do I want to move into a house for a year to move out again to then turn it into a rental? Probably not. Right? Now, if it's a duplex, that's different. Then that would be something that I would talk to Mary Louise about, because then at that point the rent would pay for itself 100%. We would just have to be willing to live next to somebody, like an apartment, which we already live in. So I don't know if that'd be a bad idea, but it's something that like we would talk about. But basically, I'm gonna look up my plans. You know, obviously, you know, she was talking about the money side of it. I'm thinking in my head, if I have to go get a down payment, you best believe I'll be door dashing every single day of my life until I can afford the down payment. But you do not have to live in the house to buy it, rent, you know, your first property. Now, the thing is I have a VA loan, which when I said that, she didn't respond as if she was like, oh, well, that will, you know, help you. You know, like, she didn't say that. She was more on the lines of like, let me get you to this person and then you guys can figure that out and then you can come back to us. And I was like, okay. She emailed me and I thanked her. I thanked her for helping me out, cause we talked for a good like 25 minutes. Was it 25 minutes? It felt long, but I don't think it was that long. You know, awkward silence, or not awkward silence, but awkwardness. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was nervous. I was nervous. I don't know why. I don't know why. I think. I don't know. I was nervous and I did it, and now I have knowledge. I literally walked in there and I was like, I don't know where to start, because she was like, what do you want us to do? Buy a property for you? And I was like, well, I want to rent out a property. She was like, so do you have a home already? And I was like, no. I was like, I need to buy a house, and then I want to rent that house. And she was like, oh, okay. Then we switched conversations. I'm excited though. I'm excited. Because like we definitely talked about some more in-depth stuff. Like, obviously, she even started talking about stuff that I was thinking about. She was like, obviously the idea is to have the rent pay for the mortgage itself. And I was like, now you're talking my style, you know? Because that's the goal, right? That's the goal, is the idea is that it's a self-made machine, right? Like the rent will pay the mortgage and have a profit. So then you turn that profit into another house, and then obviously multiplying that profit over time, you know, will help you. And then obviously once the once the mortgage is paid off, that's 100% free money. You know? So we're moving in the right direction. Yeah, the next thing is the scooters. I gotta commit to that. We are going to the games place. Berthoop. We're gonna buy ourselves a Marker Grace hat. Oh. Boom. Nice. You look dirty. You laps. Meow. Bank. Let's throw this there. I'm excited though. Mom, I talked to Dakota. Dakota's good. So that way if you want to know, she's good. I talked to her. She was sleeping. She said that she worked the weekend and she paid all her bills. I mean, I say that relative. Don't yell at me if you paid a bill. Like, I don't know that. I'm just saying that's what she said. She said she paid all the bills. She was talking about she's talking about getting another job. Because obviously she wants a more consistent thing and she doesn't want to have to like continue to do that. Which I kind of like I kind of agree but disagree with Dakota in this aspect. I wish Dakota would actually work there because she could make a lot more money. If she would work there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, she would make plenty of money. She would make plenty of money to last her. You know what I'm saying? If she did that 4 times a month. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, if I wanted to work DoorDash and do it 4 days a week, I could. Because I only need to make up $100 in 4 days. So I would just need to make $125, which I can easily do that. I would just work longer days on those days. Now, here's the thing is like, I have to rebudget again because I kind of like I'm stressing myself out trying to like only pay for bills when I know I'm going to need flexible money. So 500 is okay. You know, it was nice to make the $700 because I feel a lot more comfortable this week than I have since. But we got a lot going on, Mom. A lot going on this these next 2 weeks with the move, with bro, I just gotta buy them. I gotta stop overthinking it and just go buy 2 scooters. And I probably won't even keep them at your house, Mom. I'll probably keep them at my house. You know what I mean? Oh, nice. Marker Grace, first lap back. All right, well, there you go. Are you still here, Mom? No, you're good. That was the person who just called me. That was Tara. She called me. So yes, I was right. I was right. If you buy a house with it being your primary residence, you have to live in that house for a year before you turn it into a rental property. I just didn't know that part. But if you buy a rental property straight out, then yes, you do not have to live in it. The thing is, though, is because of it being straight a rental property, you have to have more of a down payment. So basically what she said is that what she's suggesting is that I buy a house first, which then would make it easier for me. I mean, obviously there's so many aspirations, but here's the thing. I do not want to use a VA loan on a house now because I do not want to, I'm not settling down yet. I do not know what the thing is, you know, what the vibe is. Now, I don't know, like, I'd have to sit here and talk to Marilee's and see what it is. What did it just say? The kitten is hungry. I fed you. But I would have to sit down with Marilee's and see what the plan is. All I know now is I need to save $60,000. So, like that's kind of like where like my head is at. Yeah, I didn't fail it this time. My cat should be leveling up here in like 3 minutes. I could stop feeding it. Mother flipper. I need 5 laps. They could let me finish this. Meow. What's going on? Oh. So the only place you can fail is here and there. And I called it. I called it. Come on, Kay, you gotta level up now. One minute. Where's my cat? About to level up here. Oh my, one more. Yay! My grown cat. My black cat. My cat looks like a beast. Nice. All right, now we go to back to what you call it. I never understood why they put a bank deposit in the bank. I get it, it's easy, you know, deposit. It's supposed to ideally be quicker, I got it, but, you know, whatever. Where are we going? Akrid. Akrid. PvP arena. Let's walk. Watch us burn through the Steven XP. We're doing 12K right there. Talk to Jar. Bro, just take it away from my bank. Not time for you. I hate the forced camera. Basically, that means I can't adjust the camera and where I'm at. Like, I can't go up and down. Come on, kitty cat. Meow. Damn, why are you screaming, bro? It's hot. Bro, like, why you got a rune mace, bro? Just trying to hold on to my prayer, bro. Let me live. Sofa num. Clearly Aladdin. Am I in the pyramid from the world? Oh, rub it in, why don't you, with your... Bro, you look pretty good. Not even gonna lie to you. I'll drop this bad boy. Alright, let's get it. Remember, on the last room... That's tough. On the last room, we're gonna, check everything. Okay. What mage training did I do? I mean, I guess technically the teleport. Nice. First try. We love to see it. First try again. Oh, I thought that would have been lit. Of course, it's always the last door. Why wouldn't it be the last door? Nice. All right, now we're gonna check. We're gonna check the entire room. Okay. Motherfucker. Check for snakes. Check for snakes. Are you serious? Like, everyone is a snake. Bro, pick it. Bro, everyone had a snake. Nice. Last time it was that door. Bro. See, if it was like that, I'm going smooth. Search snake. Boom. Yep. See, I like that. That was the first time I got bit. That's what it should be. Okay, I searched for the snake. Oh my gosh. Thank you. See, now we're moving and grooving. Oh, we got bit. Bro, come on. That's like 3 times in a row. Like, come on. Like, let's go. Like, I have time for this. There we go. Sorry, bud. kidding me? We all got the same door. Stuff. This is what, our third run right now? Wait, why are you hitting me? I don't got time for this. Yeah, see if they come. If they pop out, then we don't stay. Oh, the room switched on us. He's bored. Nice. Nice. Yo, every time we do that, bro, we've done really that room 3 times, really, right? Probably gonna level up in literally in this room right here. This guy's got 99 fire. Get the fuck out of here. You got time for that shit? Oh, I'm gonna lose my mind if I go to do that. Level 50, baby! Alright, scepter time. Come on. Son of a bitch. Okay. Should we just stay here and get level 51? We did that pretty fast, low-key. I say we do it so we can go to the next room. Yeah, let's do it. So what did we do? Four rooms, really? Nice. Oh, bro. So what do you start at? 9, 8, 8, 6. Coming into this room. Oh, what the heck? Did he stop attacking me? Seeing that animation was annoying. I feel like if I position myself next to the snake, that like if I come over here, right, I should be 100% success rate. Now this snake is, you know, all right. What was it? 966? So basically 1,000? Nice. Bro, don't kick me out. Alright, let's do this. Restore potions. Okay, run energy. Let's do this. Probably 2 more. Maybe like 2.5, you know? That'd be cool if they had like something you could do with the stone, you know, things instead of just dropping them. Maybe they'd give you like some things that would help you avoid snakes better or something. Or something that keeps you from getting poisoned, you know? I'm about to get a strength level just by being here. It's crazy how people are like that high level. Like let's see this guy. What's his thieving? 91. Yeah, 2.5. That's what I was thinking. I'll bring pick locks next time. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get 3K in this one, but yeah, I'll get this level, this next room. That's pretty fast. That's pretty fast. Level 51, baby. Oh, we can go to the next room. So actually, you know what? Let's do that. Just go to the next room. Actually, hold on. Let's check. Let's check this. Now our rate for the spectre goes up. I have to get used to this. Whoa, look at your boy. New level. $70. Oh my. $140? What the heck? There's 5 doors in here to check too. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh no. Bro, I'm checking it, bro. I ran out of time. I'll take my level. Why do I never bring a teleport back? Dummy. Where's my cat? Look at my cat. Ah! Interact. What is this? It's gonna kick me. Ah, that's kind of cool. Animation. Let's go default. Yeah, I didn't like that cow. I don't want no cow kicking me in the guts. We walk. Sorry. Now that I went, I want to see if this makes any more sense to me. Because I've watched this video twice.
On social, in person, even on your current marketplace.
What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So here's something that everyone wants to know, and that is, how do you buy your first rental property? What do you look for? How much money do you need? Exactly what do you do? How do you know if it's a good investment? How do you smash the like button, which if you guys haven't already hit the like button, make sure to smash that like button. So this video is really meant to be a step-by-step guide to buying your first rental property. And then from there, you can continue doing your own research into finding out which property is right for you. So with that said, let's get right into it. Okay, so we're gonna be starting at the very beginning, and before you even think about investing in real estate, you're gonna need to do a few things first to prepare. So this is step 0, but obviously you're gonna need a down payment to invest in real estate. Now typically at the time I'm making this video right now, which is at the end of 2018, most lenders want to see about a 15 to 20% down payment anytime you buy real estate. That means for every $100,000 you end up buying, you're going to have to put down between $15,000 and $20,000 from your own money. Now obviously if you're buying something for yourself as a primary residence, technically you could put down less, technically as little as 3 to 5%, and you just pay the PMI on top of that. But I generally recommend putting down a little bit more money just as a bigger safety net. And if you're investing in real estate, typically lenders are going to want to see you put more money down, not less. And ultimately, how much money you have saved up or will be saving up is really going to determine whether or not you will be investing in real estate and what you will be buying. So obviously, if you're watching this right now and you have like $3,000 saved up, don't expect to go and like buy a $200,000 property tomorrow. It's not going to happen. But in the meantime, at least save up, learn these strategies, and be able to implement them as soon as you do. All right,
so that makes sense.
So now, assuming you're either in the process of saving for a down payment or you already have the down payment, step number 1 is that unless you're buying the property outright in cash, which I have a feeling is very few of you, you're going to need to get a loan on the property, and in order to do so, you're going to have to work on your credit score. That means if your credit score is like 550 and you only have 2 credit cards that have both late payments on them and maybe a few accounts and collections, chances are you got to take care of that first before you even think about investing in real estate. Now, ideally, anytime you go and get a mortgage, you'll want a credit score above 720, preferably above 740, and ideally you want to be above 760. The thing is, to get the best rates on a mortgage, you're going to want to have above a 740 credit score. Above this is the rate that lenders really give you the best rates possible. Now under that, you're seen as a riskier borrower, and because of that, they charge you more interest, and because of that, that just means less money in your pocket at the end of every month. So this means you're going to want to have credit to begin with and have a few active lines of credit that you've always paid off on time, nothing late, nothing in collections, and preferably your score is above a 740. And if that doesn't happen, you're really going to need to take care of that first by making sure that everything is paid off in full, that you have no accounts and collections, that if you have late payments, you either can dispute that, you try to get those removed. There's a whole bunch of videos on YouTube about how to clean up your credit score. It's really not that hard. Don't go and pay someone to do this. You can do it yourself very easily. Just YouTube all of this, you'll learn a lot. Just YouTube it. And if you don't have any credit to begin with whatsoever, I have like 7 videos already about how you can get started building your credit. I will just link to those in the description, or I'll just make like a top post. You know what? I'll do a top post on it. So you'll see it down below.
So we bought the Grace
step number
for
2, I'm now assuming that you have decent credit and have somewhat of a down payment where you're saving for it. You will need to have your tax returns in order. Now, anytime a lender looks at your tax returns and tries to give you a loan, especially if you're self-employed like me, they're going to look at the last 2 years of your tax returns and take the average between those 2 years. This means that if year number 1 you made $50,000, year number 2 you made $100,000, the average of that is $75,000, and that is the amount that they will give you a loan on. In addition to that, they usually want to see anywhere between 2 months and 6 months of your bank statements, proof of employment, proof of income, proof of any other liabilities or assets that you have. Make sure you have all of these in order because they will be asking for it. Now, it's really important that if you're planning to invest in real estate, that you don't just deduct everything from your tax returns to avoid paying taxes on it. Now, in the past, I've been pretty aggressive about deducting as many expenses as possible against my income, But when lenders go and look at your tax returns, they see the much lower amount that you're reporting that you make after all of your expenses, and they loan you just based off the much smaller amount. So that means if you think you're all cool because you make $100,000 a year, but you write off $80,000 of that as an expense to lower your tax bill, good luck getting a loan on that. Now, prior to getting a property, I'll usually go a little bit lighter on my expenses, so that way I end up paying more taxes, but on the flip side, I can qualify for a larger loan, which is more important because I'm showing more income. So it's very important that you make sure to take care of this and anticipate this in advance. So step number 3 is talk to a lender before you do anything. Otherwise, I promise you this is what's going to happen. You're going to go out, start looking at properties, and like the first place you see is going to be absolutely perfect. Then you're going to go to the lender and find out that that place is over your price range and you can't afford it. And you're going to be heartbroken. But then everything else you see, you're going to compare it to the place that you missed out on, that you couldn't afford, and it's just not going to be a good experience. You're not going to have a good time. So instead, here's what you're going to do. You are going to go to a lender first, give them all your paperwork, your tax returns, your bank statements, your everything. Don't have them run your credit score. Instead, tell them what your credit score is. That way they won't have to run it, it won't ding your credit, you're not going to have a hard inquiry on your credit report. Don't do any of that. If you have no idea what your credit is, I highly recommend you run it on creditkarma.com. It's absolutely free. I wish they were sponsoring this video. Credit Karma, if you guys are watching, please sponsor me, because I'm giving you a ton of free promotion here. For real though, Credit Karma is great. I use it myself. Creditkarma.com. You can sign up for free in like 5 minutes. It'll tell you approximately what your credit score is. Just tell lenders whatever that score is, and they'll be able to punch in all the numbers and tell you roughly what you would be able to qualify for. Now, this is so important you do this for a few reasons. Number one, you know from the lender exactly what you could afford, so that way you don't waste anyone's time or your time seeing something that's just out of your price range. Number two, if you see something you do really like, you've saved a lot of time because you already have all the information in with the lender and they're pretty much ready to go, just pending them running your credit. Now trust me when I say this, because this is like over 10 years of experience now at this point. It happens all the time. If you find a spot that's worth buying, chances are 10 other people want it just as much as you do. So it's so important that you can hit the ground running, have all your paperwork ready. When it comes to investing in real estate, timing is key, and the quicker you can act on something, generally speaking, the better the deal you're gonna get. So once you've got that out of the way, you've spoken with the lender, you figure out exactly what you can qualify for, start looking at all the properties on the market. This should really be the fun part. Look at everything you possibly can within your price range and then bump it up about 15% just so you're able to see properties that are a little bit more expensive to compare them to the ones that you're looking at. Now when it comes to this, the more properties you see, the better. When it comes to me buying real estate, I see absolutely everything on the market. I will see 25 to 60 places, everything in the entire area, so that way when I see the right one, I know it immediately. And once you start seeing more than like 20, 25 homes, you're going to know exactly why something is priced the way it is, what upgrades are reasonable, what upgrades are not reasonable for the area, how well something is priced, if it's in good condition. You're going to have a really good understanding once you see more than like 20 homes or so. Now, until you've seen a lot of homes on the market, you could end up seeing the perfect deal, but just not recognize it because you have nothing else to compare it to. Now, some people at this point might recommend looking out of state if you live in an area that's very expensive or just doesn't cash flow, so this might be a good option depending on your circumstance. Ideally for me, I like buying properties where I get to see what's going on day to day. I know where people are moving, I know where the trends are, I know where investment money is going, I can see how the area is changing firsthand, and because of that, I feel like I have an advantage over someone else who doesn't see those things day to day. Now usually when buying out of state, it's going to be a lot harder to notice some of these subtle trends unless you have someone you really trust or can rely on, or a really good realtor, but even then you take a risk relying on someone else without fully understanding the deal yourself. And listen, I'm not saying it can't be done because there are many very successful real estate investors that invest out of state. I'm just saying it carries its own risks associated with that, and you really need to understand exactly what you're buying and investing in. Now when it comes to me, I don't invest in properties on the really low end. I don't invest in properties on the really high end. For me, I go for the median price range. If anything, like if the median is like this whole range here, I usually like to go like lower middle, if that makes sense, just below like the average price in the area. Now for me, this means I can target the biggest buyer pool possible. Now just because I'm like low or middle, it means there's usually a little bit more room for upside potential for me to fix it up and increase the price. And also when it comes to renting out the property, it's just more affordable, and generally I'm going to find a lot more tenants who want to live there. And also one more thing, and I'll call this like step 4.5. What type of property should you look for? Now for me, I tend not to look at any condos because I find that there's not a lot of room for upside. You can't add square footage. There's usually only so much you can do to it, and you're at the mercy of the HOA, and not to mention, the HOA fees usually just eat into your profits. Now for that reason, I usually like single family residences or duplexes, triplexes, or fourplexes, which means 2 to 4 units. Now the reason I like doing this is because you get to qualify for conventional financing, which is a lot easier to get than commercial financing once you go over 5 units. That means you usually get a lower interest rate and better interest rate terms and better mortgage terms. And not only that, but when it comes time to sell, if you ever decide to sell in the future, you're not only appealing to investors, but you can also appeal to owner users. Now step number 5 is that you
There's a little known trick to getting started in real estate and making $1,000, $2,000, or even $10,000 a day that doesn't require you to put any of your own money, buy, sell, or even rent a property. In fact, all you need to make money with this strategy is an
need to determine what the cash suck. They don't cash flow, they're going to lose money, and they're not a good deal to buy. It's also a very true reality that everything makes a good investment if you buy it for the right price. So it's very important to understand what these numbers are and what to look for. Now, if you're ever looking at a property or an area and you have no idea what it's going to rent for, usually what I like to do is look it up on Craigslist.com. If you're in Canada, it's usually Kijiji.com, to be able to find what similar places are asking for rent. You can also use websites like Zillow, Trulia, Redfin. Look at the area, find out what other properties are renting for, and then you can base that on the property that you're looking at. But anyway, going back to this, in order to understand cash flow, you're going to first need to understand exactly what the ownership costs are of the property. Now, the first thing to consider is how much money are you putting down. You then need to consider what your mortgage is going to be, and then you need to consider what your interest rate is going to be in the loan terms, which I hope is going to be a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Once you know these things, you can plug it in a mortgage calculator. For me, I like to use the website mortgagecalculator.org. That's pretty much the one I use for everything, so feel free to use the same one as well. So as you can see, on a $400,000 property, assuming you put 20% down, your monthly payment would be $1,717 per month. From there, you're going to need to calculate what your state's property taxes are. If you're here in California, it's about 1.2% of the purchase price, which on $400,000 is going to be $400 every single month. From there, you'll have insurance, and for me, my properties are usually between $100 to $150 a month in insurance, so we'll tack that on. I recommend speaking with your insurance agent just to find out a ballpark number, and you can go and use that to use these calculations. Now from there, you're going to have a lot of other random expenses that come up. It could be a gardener, random fixes, pest control, whatever it might be. Maybe you pay for pool maintenance or whatever. You'll have a few other expenses to tack on in addition to this. I'll usually just throw in like a $200 a month buffer on that. And then you're going to have vacancy. Every now and then your tenants are going to move out and you're going to have some vacancy and have to fix it up. So I'll just tack on another $150 a month on average for that. This means that on a $400,000 property, probably on average, it's going to cost you about $2,600 every single month. That also means in order to make the property cash flow, you're going to have to make more money than that in rent. So let's just say for the sake of this example, your $400 property is going to be renting for $3,200 every single month. That means that you should see about an $800 per month cash flow on an $80,000 down payment investment, which works out to be a 12% cash on cash return. Now also, in addition to the $800 a month that you're getting, you're also paying down the loan in the form of principal. This means in the first year, you're getting an additional $4,700 in equity in the property. And that brings your total first year return on an $80,000 investment to $14,300. And how that's broken down, remember, is $800 a month, which works out to be $9,600 the first year in cash flow, plus $4,700 in equity by paying down the loan. That works out to be nearly an 18% return on your $80,000 investment. And for anyone just starting, I never, ever recommend buying a property that doesn't cash flow, or at the very least, worst case scenario, break even, because the last thing you want is to be out of pocket to own a property, plus all the hassle that comes across with that, plus all the management. You never want to do that. Make sure at the very least it breaks even. Very least. I mean, that's just like, that should be your worst case scenario, is it breaks even and the tenant just pays off your mortgage for you. Worst case. Ideally, you need to make some cash flow on top of this. If you're just starting, The more cash flow, the better. Now, when it comes to finding a property that cash flows, it's often like finding a needle in a haystack. Especially here in Los Angeles, I have seen probably over 100, 200 properties total in the last year, and maybe only a handful of those actually cash flowed. So it's so important to have patience and to really stick with the numbers and know what makes sense to buy and what doesn't make sense to buy, and just avoid that. And remember that every property will cash flow at the right price. So don't be afraid sometimes to make reasonably low offers at a price point where it will cash flow, and if the owner says no to that, that's fine. But every property will cash flow, just depending on what price you buy it for. Now, step number 6 is look for properties that need minor cosmetic renovations. This is what I do anytime I end up buying something, and this is where I see all the upside. Ideally, you want a home where all the unsexy hidden stuff is redone, like roof, foundation, plumbing, electrical, all the things you don't see, but when you walk into the home, it just cosmetically looks a little old. Maybe it's stuck in the 70s or 80s, or maybe there's like 90s carpet everywhere. But everything else, like functionality-wise, is perfect. Things like old kitchens, old bathrooms, old floors, old paint, peeling paint, old landscape, things like this are really easy to fix in a relatively short amount of time for not usually a ton of money. I've seen so many places where if you spend $30,000 fixing it up, you can increase the cash flow by $600 every single month. That is a tremendous ROI on your money. And when you're just starting out doing all of this, chances are you're not going to know which upgrades to do or what's common for the area or how much something is going to cost. But trust me, the more you end up seeing, the better you're going to get at understanding, I need to do these specific renovations and this will get me the best ROI. Now from there, I recommend going on Yelp and finding good contractors to get bids with how much something is going to cost to renovate or remodel. I recommend usually getting 3 bids. Just look on Yelp for people with like more than 4 stars, read the reviews. Now, not every contractor is going to be perfect, but I highly recommend the reviews will tell you if these people are like even decent or not. And make sure when you meet with these contractors to ask them as many questions as you possibly can. Don't think any question is stupid. Ask them their opinions on things, ask how they would recommend doing something. Again, the more opinions you get and the more knowledge you get by meeting with people, the better off you're going to be. And by the way, just expect this to happen because 100% will happen every single time for me it happens. Every renovation you do is going to cost 20% more than you think it will and will take 20% longer than you think it will. Just trust me on this, so just budget accordingly. If they give you a bid of like $20,000, expect it's probably going to be $24,000. If they tell you it's going to be done in a month, expect that it'll probably be done in like a month and a half. Every single time, always turns out this way, without exception. Don't expect anything to be done exactly on time for exactly the price. It's rare. It's also really important that if you're renovating this place to then rent out to a tenant, you make it as renter-proof as possible, which means don't do really nice scratchable hardwood floors, do laminate. Don't do really expensive countertops that could crack or break or stain. Do like a very durable countertop or like maybe one of those imitation looking stone countertops. I've noticed that generally tile floors are pretty much indestructible. Depending on the area, you may want to do tile instead of laminate. It really just depends on the area, but tile is one of those things that like you can't mess up. I also recommend avoiding carpet at all costs because it will get filthy and you're gonna have to replace it after every single tenant, and that really adds up over the long run. And also don't do anything too expensive because trust me, if it can possibly break, a tenant will find a way to break it. I have no idea how they always break these things, but if it's breakable, just trust me, it's gonna break. Now the last little thing I want to mention here is that I avoid certain properties in certain locations, and the first one to keep in mind is that you cannot change location. I don't like buying anything that's like right next to a freeway where you just hear the freeway noise. I don't like buying anything on a busy street. I don't like buying anything if there are 2 street lights on the either end because that means that cars usually pass through if there's ever any traffic. It's just any sort of street busyness is usually not good. I also like to make sure the property I get does not back up to a huge apartment building or huge like commercial building right behind it, like a big parking lot or stuff like that. All of those things tend to bring down the value. This just means that usually in the future it's going to be a much harder sell, there's going to be less resale value there, and there's going to be less upside than if it didn't have those things. Now step number 7, assuming you found the perfect place, you've talked to the lender, you get your credit in order, your tax returns, assuming all of that is already good, you can start making offers on properties. Now just expect that not every offer you make is going to work out. And listen, I'll be honest with you guys, but like I lose out on a lot of offers because I will offer a lower price at a price where it makes sense for me to buy it because the numbers work. And if it goes any higher than that, it just doesn't make sense for me to buy and I won't buy it. I don't get emotional about it. I don't take anything personally. I literally just look at the numbers, and at certain prices, Things just make sense to buy, so I will buy it. And I highly recommend when you're doing this to work with a very competent realtor. They will know all the ins and outs of the contract. They will know the best strategies to negotiate depending on this specific deal. They're going to be able to help you out tremendously if they are a good real estate agent. Likewise, working with a bad real estate agent will make your life a living hell. They will lose your deals. They will be impossible to reach. They will not know what they're doing. It's going to cost you a lot of money if you end up working with a bad real estate agent. So in order to find a good real estate agent, definitely interview them. Ideally, use word of mouth is one of my favorite ways to meet different real estate agents, and that's how I end up getting a lot of my clients. But also find out how quickly they respond back to you. If you send them a text, do they respond immediately, or do they get back to you the next day? If you try calling them, does it take you hours to be able to reach them, or do they pick up on the second ring always? I honestly see so many realtors just take days to get back to people, and I wonder, like, how the do these people stay in business? It just doesn't make sense to me. But more importantly, when it comes time to make an offer, don't get caught up in the excitement of writing an offer and like competing against all these people and trying to like win, and by doing so you end up overpaying for the property. But also don't be stubborn enough to miss out on the perfect deal just because you don't want to come up like, you know, a few $1,000s or whatever it might be. For the perfect place, usually it's worth it to pay a fair price to get the right deal than try to get a steal of a deal for the wrong place. I will definitely pay more for quality, peace of mind, and ease of transaction, and I will usually pay a little bit more for a nicer area than going to a lower end area to save some money and dealing with riskier, problem-prone tenants. Now, step number 8 is, I'm assuming in step number 7.
Why are you not investing in tax liens? No, seriously. Why are you not investing into one of the
You've had a lot of frustration getting offers accepted, you want to pull your hair out, maybe you have a few gray hairs coming in. I'm assuming now you've got a deal under contract. This is your time to do your inspections on the property and make sure it's in decent condition, or if it's not, you know exactly what's wrong with it. Now when it comes to doing this, inspect as many things as you possibly can. I'm talking like do the roof, the electrical, the plumbing, if there's any mold, the foundation, the sewer line, if it's on a septic tank, just you can do radon gas for all I care. I mean, I don't care what you do. Just do as many inspections as you possibly can. Then from those inspections, find out how much it's going to cost to fix these issues. Now keep in mind, every single property, even the ones in amazing condition, will have issues. It could be a brand new perfect construction, and I guarantee inspections will always uncover something. Now it's important that when you find these issues, tally up how much it's going to cost and then ask the seller for a credit or a price reduction to compensate you for these issues. Always ask. Even if they say we're not giving a single dollar, it's as is. They always say that, by the way. They always say it as is. No credit. But just ask for something. Like literally you have no risk just by asking. Worst case they say no, and you know that's fine, you can decide then. But always ask, because most of the time the sellers will give you something. I usually see inspections as the second round of negotiation, because even though you were able to get your offer accepted, now you did your inspections and this is your chance to bring down the price a little bit more if you're the buyer. Now step number 9 is that during the escrow process you're going to have to understand exactly what the costs are. Now I have a very detailed video of this, so I don't make this video like just 20 minutes long, and step number 9. So anyway, I will link to that in the description, but generally speaking, you're going to have escrow costs, you're going to have closing costs, lender fees, different miscellaneous fees, a lot of things like this. Usually on average, it's about 1% of whatever the purchase price is of your property. This means on a $400,000 property, chances are it's going to be around $4,000 for all of those fees. That's in addition to your purchase price. But like I said, I will just put a link to the whole video in the description. So basically just click the link in the description for like a contend, and
I was a 30-year-old guy with a daughter, married, and struggling. I had 40 grand. That was 3 houses. So 20 grand down, 10 grand down, 10 grand down, my money's gone. So I sat back and realized at 45 I could retire because I had this rental portfolio that was acquired one rental at a time.
You've accumulated 180 rentals in 18 years. So to give somebody perspective, like what does a portfolio like that actually make?
Easily 40 a month.
Somebody who's listening to this, they're W-2 right now. They don't know what to do. Let's go through the first steps to building wealth.
Building wealth is a very simple 3-step process. Step 1, you have to...
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Wealthy Way podcast. Today, I've got a man with 180 rentals, and he did it in a very different way than how maybe I tell people to do it. I'm all about like, let's quit your job, start flipping and wholesaling, then buy some rentals. This man was a W-2 man through and through, and he was still able to accumulate that many rentals. I've got none other than Michael Zuber. What's up, man?
Hey, man, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. This should be fun.
Yeah, so I remember, man, when did you reach out to me? Maybe like 3-4 years ago?
Probably the first time, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you had just written your book, One Rental at a Time.
Correct.
And, you know, you were just like getting your name out there, like just trying to spread this message of, you know, hey, you can become wealthy just one at a time. Explain the concept of that.
Yeah, so One Rental at a Time was really born out of being financially free and retired, right? I retired at 45 after working at W-2 because of real estate. But Ryan, I sat at my kitchen table probably 3 weeks after being done, and I was depressed for the first time in my life, which is kind of a weird thing, right?
When you were retired?
Yeah, 3 weeks after retirement, I'm depressed.
Okay.
Something's wrong, right? Something's broken.
Bro, stop falling.
But what happened is my ego was wrapped up in my W-2 job, right? I was a commission sales rep, very good at what I did.
Where did you work?
So the last place I worked at was Splunk, then Mercury Interactive and HP Software. So I was all over enterprise software.
You were an enterprise software sales guy.
Correct.
You're like my friend Blake, who's on this show sometimes. He sells enterprise software.
Yeah, so $1 million deals were you know, common, right? And you get, you know, it's a high pressure. You have 90-day quotas, you know, and you survive in that meat grinder for, you know, a decade and a half. You know, it's time to go, right? It's time to be done. But I was depressed, which was wild. And it really came down to the fact I didn't have something to do. I didn't have a passion. Right, in my ego or my type A personality or whatever it was,
Bro,
I didn't feel like
if
I was
fall one more
contributing
freaking time, bro.
So I sat back and realized at 45
Why am I falling
could
all of a
retire
sudden? Like, I don't
because
understand
I had
it.
this rental portfolio that was acquired one rental at a time, right, starting in 2001. So I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. How many did you have when you retired?
180, 175, 180.
Okay.
We've added a few, sold a few.
Yeah,
right,
yeah, got it.
But the portfolio's there that pays our bills. And I realized that when I was kind of trying to get quiet because I didn't want to feel depressed, that there was something there, because my story starts in 2001 after losing 80% of my wealth in the stock market crash, right? I'm old enough where the .com crushed me, right? Turned $7 grand into 200 that went back to 40. So it was great. Then I was an idiot. So I remember walking through Borders bookstore. Yes, I am that old, where they actually had physical bookstores, and finding Rich Dad Poor Dad, consumed the book like many of us have. But it didn't tell me how. And I remember sitting at that dinner table or kitchen table at 45 going, I'm gonna write what happened after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, from buying my first house at Norris Drive that almost blew up into financial freedom. So that's really where One Rental at a Time is. I wanted people to realize that it is possible. There was no book that I could find that took an idea through 15 years of execution, the ups and the downs. My book is not how-to if you've read it. It's one family story of starting with a single house through financial freedom. So that's what I wanted to do.
So let's just talk about that, right? Because it's like, okay, you started in 2001, and then you retired what year?
So it would have been 5 years ago, so 18.
So 2018 you retired. You've accumulated basically 180 rentals in 18 years, call
Roughly,
it.
yep.
So you were getting 10 a year on
Yeah.
average, right? I'm sure it didn't start that way. It was
Of
one,
course.
and then it started to accumulate. But like, I mean, how does a normal guy do this? I mean, I'm sure you're making obviously good money. Like, how much were you making at your job?
So we started, it wasn't that great, right? So we're probably making, again, we live in the Silicon Valley, so it's a little bit inflated. The wife and I together were probably making 200 grand back in 2001.
And how was that like in Silicon Valley? Was that even good?
That was, no,
Yeah.
that was, even in 2001, we both have advanced degrees and all of that stuff. It was very, very much paycheck to paycheck.
It was paycheck to paycheck still at 200 grand.
200 grand. Even in 2001, 200 grand a day is
In Silicon Valley, you're
it's a
broke.
problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, you probably have one car at that point. But
Yep.
really how it started is I had 40 grand left over from all the stock market wealth. That was 3 houses. So 20 grand down on Norris Drive, 10 grand down, 10 grand down. My money's gone.
How much were those houses?
Norris Drive was 107, the next was 111, and then 115. So just over 100 grand.
Okay. And you had no problem getting normal loans because
Nope.
you had a job.
I had a job, no problem. 20% down the first one. Didn't know I could do 10%. That's how long and how much of an idiot I was in the beginning. The next 2 were 80, 10, 10s, 80% first, 10% second, 10% equity.
Yep.
And then we were out. So what we did was 2 things. One is we started cutting back on expenses because you can either make more income or cut expenses. We decided to audit needs versus wants. So we went from spending 100% of our income to almost 50% over about an 18-month period because we just got
You guys just got committed to investing.
together.
Yeah.
Shout out Olivia because she was along for the ride the whole time.
It's my daughter's name.
Oh, that's a wonderful name. I
Yeah.
love that name. And but the other thing happened is we were in a very interesting real estate cycle. 2001, life's pretty good, 03, 04, 05. So we did cash out refis.
Yep.
So we went from 3 to 8 homes, no new money, all
Yeah.
cash out refis.
Getting the cash out and then buying
the next one, right? Then in 2006, we go to a Bruce Norris event. Used to be in Southern California. He's now in Florida. But basically, he talked about the California crash. That was the title of his report. And he talked about something I had never heard of called the Affordability Index. I had no idea what it was. I have an econ degree. I have an MBA. I'm an accountant. No idea what that was. But basically, he intrigued me enough where I went and looked up Fresno's affordability, and it was as low as it had ever been, which is a problem. It means prices are inflated. So I'm not one to look a gift horse and a mouse. We sold every house, and we 1031 into apartments. So we went from 8 houses to 80 units in about 11 months.
So you just sold the houses, you took the equity, used that as a new down payment on 80 units.
Yeah, so we were at 80 units, and we didn't put any more cash in except the first 40 grand. 40 grand.
How much cash did like those 8 houses end up like having in them roughly?
So the equity that we moved, we probably moved certainly 800, I would guess, probably maybe 850, somewhere around
850 grand, and
Right.
then you bought how much worth of apartments?
So those 80 units at list would have been probably 3.2-ish, 3.3.
Was it just one complex?
No.
Oh,
So
nice.
one house became a 5, one became a 10, one became a 13. It's all audited in the book. Those pages. It's like, hey, this is what we got.
Yep.
But that was really interesting because apartments are very different than houses, right? So the first one we bought on Vassar, which we still own today, it didn't perform like I expected because shocking, 5 units, small, close together, they're a little harder to manage, all of that. But there are things you learn along the way, and one of the key things, especially when you look at today, is I think, generally speaking, the small multis, the stuff I play in, the 5s to 40s, we're going to see some pain because of financing, and I may do the exact same thing again. We have 50 or 60 houses now. I made 1031 out of houses back into apartments.
Into the small ones.
The small, we don't have partners. We don't raise capital. We don't do any of that. It's just me and Olivia. But yeah, so 5s to 40s are we like to play now.
I'll ask you about that later, why you don't. But
sure.
Yeah. So tell me, you exchange into these 5s, these 10s, and that gets you to 80.
Correct.
Then what happens next?
So we're at 80. Now the market's blowing up. Because again, you can go back and look at Norris Drive. If people wanted to look it up, it's 1818 Norris Drive East, 93703. We sold it at 263. We sold a little early. It ultimately peaks at 300. But then the crash happens. It retrades again at 75 grand.
Yeah.
So Fresno was murdered in the crash. So basically housing rolls over. It's the first time I paused because we were on a pretty good clip of buying or selling about something every 6 months for a while. And when stuff rolled over, I mean, I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't know how bad it was. But we started buying again when houses got to about 150. So they were 50% off. And we bought all the way down. The cheapest house we bought was 28 grand.
This is in Fresno.
This is in Fresno, California. Everything we do is there, Fresno/Madera. And yeah, it was fun. Then we had to raise money. We raised private capital the first time, but it was always debt. It wasn't equity capital. That was a big deal for us. So I was writing for Bigger Pockets at the time as a featured blog post and blog writer. And yeah, we were just documenting what we were doing, right? We had a Wealth Building Pro site where we go, hey, this is the Gumball House. We'd always name our houses.
So wait, what year were you writing for Bigger Pockets?
So I was at their first event. I was one of their first speakers in Colorado. So it had to be what, 06, 07, I think.
They've been around that long.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it might have been 08.
I thought I started to get on them early back in 2014 when 2014 was when I first read Brandon Turner's book. But I read his book and I started listening to the podcast. The podcast started somewhat around then.
Yeah. Well, so they've had several, right? So I was actually interviewed by Josh Dorkin, who was the CEO.
Yeah.
I was writing for the blog, and then Brandon Turner came in as an intern. Right. And his first, I don't know if job or task or whatever was making the blog get better, right? So I worked with Brandon really, really early.
just trying to do blogs.
Just yeah,
But
he was adding structure and process. He was being Brandon. That's really his thing.
What was Josh doing a podcast then?
He did, yeah. I mean, you can look it up still. I'm on there. Gosh, 05. Man, I was fat. You can look it up. I had a big old fat face. It was funny.
Did you know that you could get $50,000 to over $150,000 of investment capital at zero?
My name is Sam, and I'm a real estate investor. I own a house buying company that flipped 252 houses in 2021. I also own a $40 million rental portfolio that I've been able to buy without using any of my own money. So I eat, breathe, and sleep real estate. I talk about the BRRRR method all the time. It stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and scale. And it is how I have built massive wealth in a short period of time without using any of my own money. But the most complicated step—
I hate when they say that because they had to earn the capital. They had to earn at least $20,000, $30,000 to put down a down payment.
I'm going to give you
Stop
3 tips
missing that
so
shit,
that
bro.
when you refinance your properties, you're going to get all your money back. And number 3 is a secret tip that not many people know and not many people do when they're utilizing the BRRRR method. Simply put, the BRRRR method is a way to buy rental properties without using any of your own money, and the key to that is that refinance step. That refinance step allows you to pay off your short-term lenders and get into long-term low-rate financing so you can buy it and own it all without using any of your own money. I own apartment complexes, single-family rentals, and storage facilities, all with this method, so it's powerful. Stay tuned to the end so you can hear Maisie's joke of the day, and also I'm going to explain to you why debt-to-income ratio does not matter at all when you're dealing with the BRRRR method and doing it the right way. Because a lot of people think, I don't make enough money to borrow more money. It doesn't matter if you're doing it the way I'm going to tell you. In the next 10 seconds, I'm going to describe the BRRRR method up to the refinance. You buy a property at a discount that's distressed using somebody else's money. You fix it up and get it ready using that same person's money, then you get the property rented. Guess what? That person who lent you the money to buy it and fix it up did not do it for free. You have to pay them back plus interest. That's where the refinance step comes into play. The refinance step is an 80% cash out refinance. Small local banks, which we'll get into here in a minute, these banks, they will lend you up to 80% of the value of a property. Most people think I have to put 20% down on my rental property so that a bank will lend me the money. That's not the case. The bank doesn't care about that 20%. They don't even usually take that 20%. They just want you to have at least 20% equity in the property. Either you putting cash into it or bringing them a deal at below market value, which is what the BRRRR method is, which allows you to not use any of your own money. And it's a cashier's check. They hand you a cashier's check for up to 80% of what the property is worth. Then you take that cashier's check and you pay back your initial lender, that one who lent you the money to purchase that distressed property and fix it up. You give them their money back plus interest with that 80% cash out refinance check. The bank didn't just give you that check. That's a mortgage now, and you pay that over 25, 30 years at a very low interest rate. So then you don't have to actually come out of pocket once you own it. So that's kind of how it works in a nutshell. Let's go over a couple quick examples of the refinance, and then let's go over those 3 tips. Let's say your property is worth $300,000 and appraises for $300,000. A bank will literally write you a check for up to 80% of that, or $225,000. So assuming you bought a property and fixed it up for less than $225,000, the bank will give you that check for $225,000. You take it and pay off the initial lender plus interest. A question a lot of people have is, what if it doesn't appraise for enough to pay back my initial lender plus interest and have to come out of pocket? While that is a possibility, these next 3 steps will make it not an option. If you're still watching this video and you have not—
I didn't like that guy. I didn't like how he was explaining it.
Corner office. It isn't always climbing the corporate ladder.
All right, Bigger Pockets people, you asked for it, and we're doing it. We're talking cash out refinance day. If you know what it is, you know. If you don't, buckle up. Let's hit an intro. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about the cash out refinance or cash out refi. It's basically Christmas when you're able to do with this property. It means it's gone up in value enough that you can take some equity and you can play with it. Now, to keep things simple, we're gonna do an example on Excel. We're gonna do a building that's worth $1 million. It's increased to 1.5 million, and we'll kind of run through the scenarios. What I see on YouTube is I see a lot of videos that go a little too much into the weeds, and then you start losing people. Then other ones that are just kind of explanatory notes on what a refinance is. Hopefully after this video, number one, you'll know what a cash refinance is, and number two, you'll know what to do with that money when you do get it. All right, let's get into it. All right, don't worry about all of this mess here. This is a very simple example I'm gonna do, and it's actually very close to a deal I had in the past. Now, for the simplicity of it, we're gonna use big round numbers. So we're talking about $1 million property has increased to 1.5 million, and we're gonna figure out what we can do with that. Number one, how do we refinance that? And number two, when we get that cash from the bank, and this is where I think a lot of videos fall short, what the heck do you do with that money? And how do you make it work for you? So let's get into it here. So I thought it'd be pretty, I think it's pretty simple here. So what we have, we're gonna look at this area first. So 2015 is when you purchased the property. Value of the property was 1 million. The mortgage is $800,000. And that's one of the first assumptions we're gonna make. We're gonna assume you put a 20% down payment, okay? That's the equity piece here. And we're also gonna assume that the bank requires you, after you refinance the property, to maintain that 20% equity, or in other words, 80-20 loan to value, LTV. It's gonna differ by different states, different banks. You know, it could be larger, smaller, but let's just assume it's 20%. So annual net operating income. As you can see, I like to keep things simple. 100,000 is what we're going to assume in net operating income. This would be a 10% cap rate, and I understand not, listen, if I wish our markets were anywhere near this, the markets that we're currently in. If your market's lower or market's higher, that's fine. Just using an example here. Already calculated the mortgage rate. Assumption number three, I guess, is the fact that we have an annual mortgage payment here of 4.5%. I think I amortized this over 25 years. So that's assumption number three. So number one, 20% down payment assumption. Number two, we're assuming $100,000 in NOI. And number three, 4.5% mortgage. Everybody's cool with that? Let's keep rock and rolling here. Okay, now 100,000 minus this 50 and change. Got this number here. This is your cash flow before taxes. Cap rate, as we mentioned, 10%. Okay, so listen, 2019 was great. You're in New York or LA or San Francisco or Toronto. You've had a great run here. Your property has gone up to 1.5 million. Your mortgage stays the same, right? Nothing changes there. Equity, this is where you get a little bit of a change here. So you have the 200,000 you originally put in. However, we've gone to 1.5 million. So now we are at 700 in total equity. Good for you. The question, how do you get it and what do you do with it? So net operating income, I'm gonna stop listing them because I'm gonna mess them up. So this is another assumption we're making. So I think it's fair to say in a market that has increased in property value, net operating has increased. And I've been fairly conservative with that. I said net operating income over this time period increased by 15%. That could be through either the passage of time or forced appreciation, where you've, say, increased your rents, etc. So we're at 115,000 in 2019. Mortgage, like I said, stays the same, so the payment's the same. However, your cash flow before taxes is up. And one crucial thing to note here is you have your 7.67% cap rate now, because the cap rate in 2019 is calculated on the 2019 NOI and the 2019 value. So gone are your days of
Sorry, I was on the phone.
Because the cap rate in 2019, so gone are your days of 10% cap rate and cap rate now, because mortgage, like I said, time or forced depreciation where you've, say, increase your rents, etc. So we're at $115,000 in 2019. Mortgage, like I said, stays the same, so the payment's the same. However, your cash flow before taxes is up. And one crucial thing to note here is you have your 7.67% cap rate now, because the cap rate in 2019 is calculated on the 2019 NOI and the 2019 value. So gone are your days of 10% cap rates. You're now at 7.67. So if somebody bought this particular property and you sold it, that would be the cap rate they're realizing. Now, let's talk about this. So $1.5 million, what can we pull out of this property? So let's scroll down here, and this is, I'm gonna run through this here. All you really need to see right now is this guy here. So the way you calculate it, again, keeping an 80-20 loan to value, is you multiply your value by 80%, okay? Then you subtract the current mortgage, okay? The current mortgage we have here, let's see, is $800,000. So you need to, basically you're increasing your mortgage when you're refinancing. So you have to look at this like the bank's cutting you a check for the current mortgage, which they're not. Nobody actually cuts a check, but this is the math here. What that equates to is available equity of $400,000. So out of that 500 you've increased, you can pull 400. Now you can just tell that you're maintaining a LTV by thinking about it, but if we were to clarify it further, let's look at your total debt now. So this is your remaining equity is at 20%. So this is your debt that you've pulled out of it, right? The 400,000, 800,000 of what was originally the mortgage. So now your total debt is 1.2 million. So stay with me here. A value of 1.5 million minus your new debt load of 1.2 million leaves you with $300,000, and $300,000 divided by 1.5 is, boom, 20%. So you're sitting pretty. You have done what the bank has asked you to do. Now, they haven't really asked you, they've just required it. So, I mean, you would have had to do that anyways. Okay, so this is the fun part. So you're able to pull out this available equity, $400,000. And I put it here as a cash out. So what I did, I think, 2019. So it's still 2019. You have this $400,000. And this is where I'm gonna make another assumption. Typically when you pull equity out of a property, you're pulling it out of the property and you're usually using when you pull debt out of or equity, which is increasing your mortgage, so it's technically debt now. So that $400,000, when you pull that out, a lot of times when you go to buy a new property, you're usually gonna put your own cash into the deal. And I think that's what complicates a lot of these YouTube videos, because when you're using your own cash, then it kind of starts messing around with the mortgage payments. So for simplicity, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this $400,000 that we increased our debt load by, and we're gonna buy a duplex, and we're gonna buy it with no cash. So this is gonna be totally leveraged. So if you look down at the mortgage payments here, I'm also making that assumption that the mortgage payments are gonna remain the same as the mortgage payments on our current place. Now that might not be the case. Sometimes the mortgage payments will be lower, sometimes they'll be higher. Here you could argue, since cap rates have gone down, mortgage payments may have gone down as well. But we're gonna leave that aside and just assume that the mortgage remained the same at a 4.5%. So I've already calculated the mortgage. So let's go back here, $400,000. We've got $30,000 in net operating income, and I want you to understand how I achieved this. This was the prevailing market cap rate we can assume in 2019. So keeping that assumption, we're gonna say in 2019 here that the yield, the cap rate, is also gonna be 7.67%. So our NOI is $30,680. Now subtracting the mortgage payments, which we already talked about, you are left with $5,432 of cash flow before taxes. Now I know what you're thinking. That's probably what you're thinking. It's not that great. We looked at a property, even though it was half the value. So if we look over here, we were getting $49,000. Now, granted, this is $400,000, but even if you chop this $49,000 in half, it's much more than what we're getting here. But this is really where you have to understand what you're doing when you're refinancing. And you have to look at it as the totality of the property you have and the property you're purchasing. So let's pop down to the after refinance section here. And this is where it starts making sense. What have you done? You've got a property that's worth $1.5 million. You were able to take out $400,000 and buy another property. Now your total debt load now is $1.2 million. However, if you go down here, we need to add the annual net operating income. We need to add the 2019, the current property, and the 2019 new property, the duplex. So suddenly we're at $145,000 in change for net operating income. Okay, starting to look better. And here's part of the reason that it starts making even more sense. The annual mortgage payment, this one now is adding this one plus this, so the duplex plus the current property. So now you're at a mortgage, annual mortgage payment of $75,000. So it's almost a weighted average. And now here's the number that makes this really shine. If you look at the 9.71%, that is the cap rate on your new deal, your new NOI with your new value. So you've basically, in a market of 7.67%, you've averaged out by doing an average of your current property plus this duplex you have of 9.71%. And that's the beauty of the cash out refinance. So listen, if you're in a situation where you think that taking equity out of your property, but you are still being prudent, you can still make payments, you're above water, you're not doing the deal just to do the deal, you, in an after refinance position, have an even better yield, then the cash out refinance is a fantastic tool for any investors. All right, I hope that is clear as mud. I'm just joking. I hope that helped you out.
Let's see if Dave Ramsey agrees. And if I can finish this.
I can't grow face.
Landon is with us in Charlottesville, Virginia. Hi, Landon. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for taking my call, Dave, and thanks for what you guys do.
Sure. Thank you. How can we help?
Yeah, my question's related to maybe a refinance type situation. My wife and I are fortunate enough, we paid off our primary residence this year, right before COVID hit, so that was a lot of peace brought to our house.
Nice,
but
summer 49,
we
baby.
still have a rental property that has about 40% debt tied to it, roughly $140,000. It's probably worth around $300,000. And so I've looked at maybe refinancing that to a 15-year note to reduce the rate, but since I would have to get a commercial product, that doesn't really necessarily make a whole lot of sense. But I wonder what your thoughts would be of maybe doing a cash-out refinance on my primary residence to get like a really good rate, roughly 2.5% on a 15-year note, then pay off the rental, which would then obviously significantly increase the cash flow and obviously allow us maybe to pay a house off a little bit quicker. I'm reluctant because I don't want to put the primary residence back under a mortgage. But,
ding, ding.
That's the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that part where you said I had peace during COVID?
Yeah. No more peace.
I know. But
I remember that part. That was early in the conversation, but it still rings in my ears. It was a wonderful phrase. And I would never steal that from you. You finally got there. I'd sell the rental before I did that. I don't want to sell the rental. What's your household income?
Around 150, give or take, but it varies.
So how fast are you going to pay off 140?
We got some money. I mean, if we put our nose to it, we could probably do it 3 to 5 years, probably.
You got some money. What's that mean?
Well, we've got a little bit of money. We've got like 40, 50 sitting in an account
that's not the emergency fund?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so now we only got to pay off 90.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
And what's the interest rate?
Yeah. Right now it's at around 5%.
Oh, whoopty-doopty. Just pay it off, dude.
Don't refi it, man. Don't refi it. Just go ahead and just pay it off. You got $90K at 150. You can have it actually paid off in about two and a half years.
Yeah.
3 to 5 years is too long for me.
$4 grand a month and you're done in under 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, that answers that.
Yeah,
so,
and then the refinance cost makes the savings on the interest irrelevant because you're doing it so fast.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
Landon.
That's true.
Don't hang up the phone and refi your home.
Don't do that. He's not going to. So, Landon, let's kind of walk back through what we just did for you, and so you can do it again for you, and other people can too. You were using two parts of yourself to make the decision, and they were in conflict. Your heart and your head. Your heart's where you measure risk, and that's where you said, I was glad during COVID I had peace because I didn't have a mortgage. My head got over here and started doing math, and I'm trying to crunch these numbers and save on the interest rate.
Yeah.
Okay? And they got in conflict with each other. Now, when that happens with me, and both are valid ways of making a decision, but when they're in conflict with each other, something's wrong, because they both have your best interest at heart. No kidding. I mean, heart and head. But I mean, they both have your best interest. Your heart and your head do. So one of the things I've learned to do is I learned to take the math and turn it into dollars, which is what I just did. I didn't do it physically on this call, but what we said was the amount of actual dollars that you're going to end up saving, given that we reduce this down to 90 and you're going to do it in 2 years or so, the amount of actual dollars saved by getting a 2 or a 3% versus a 5 is very small.
Okay.
And so it becomes not worth it when you shift your strategy around and you say, how can I have a math strategy and a heart strategy, a head and a heart strategy that are running parallel? And that's when it suddenly goes, it's a no-brainer. We know what to do here. The heart and the head are lined up.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there. I want to watch this. But, hey, 49 agility, 51 thieving. We're so close. We're going to get started on the... We're going to get started on our Desert Treasure. I mean, we still got to get 50 fire making, but that's a lot easier. And it'll be one-stop shop. Once we get to level 30, we can go to Wintertot. All right. With that being said, that's going to end the stream for today. If you guys, please like, subscribe. All right. Start telling your battle buddies, your friends, your coworkers, come by, say hi. All right. Madden's going to come out soon. 2K is going to come out soon. X-Defy is going to come out soon. Call of Duty is going to come out soon. All these games are going to come out. And y'all got to come watch me play. And it's going to be fun. And again, if y'all want to see me do some stupid shit, all right, type in !workout. And I'll do some working out. If you guys want to make me suffer. But you don't have to. You could be a nice person and just let it be. Candy corn. So, with that being said, I'll be on tomorrow night, 8:30. Maybe earlier. We'll see. But look for 8:30. And see you guys tomorrow.